fire away with your question.
Right, so my question is, if you could play your character again with any doctor, who would you like to play with and why?
Let's go to Debbie first on that one.
Hi mate, how are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
Told you it'd be a nice question.
I know, thank you very much. I would have to say it would have to be David Tennant again. I know that's boring, but he is so delicious. And I feel I didn't properly fruit him up the first time because I was a bit shy. And now I feel I could fully, give him the attention he deserves, and I would give him a right jolly good frolicking.
I mean, there are all sorts of reasons people want a part in Doctor Who. Frolicking, I guess, is as legitimate a reason as any. Richard, I'm guessing it might not be the same reasons for you. Which Doctor would it be?
I don't know. I'm very, and well, it's so odd having come to know some of the Doctors through the convention world and just think, oh God, you'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
Reconnecting with Colin after all this time. And appreciating, his take on things, that would be so much fun. I don't think there's any of them I wouldn't want to. But I was so excited when Jodie started. If you turn around to me today and said, right, no 6 weeks, Richard, you're in the suit tomorrow, but you're with Jodie, I'd be like, sure. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Have to. I'll just stand there. I'll just watch. Yeah. That would be very exciting, I think.
So you're enjoying the current take on the programme?
Do you know what? I am. And I say this at cons, particularly as people do get quite upset sometimes. And I go back to being, however old I was, 5, 6. And, there's John Pertwee.
Yeah.
And John Pertwee went.
Yeah.
Gone. Who the... no, don't swear, Richard. Who on earth is this?
Yeah.
What are they doing to Doctor Who? How could they do this to me? And then, in the playground the next week at school, we were complaining about Tom Baker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can you imagine? Can you imagine?
No, I can't.
Ridiculous. So, and this is my plaint to the late night sessions at cons is, guys, you're doing that. You're complaining about Tom Baker, and I think when anything changes, I mean, it's difficult, it's strange, but that's what we celebrate in the show is change.
Yeah.
So
it always has been.
And also looking back across the broad breadth of the sort of editorial content before we knew the word showrunner, and I loved all the industrial economic dispute stuff in the 70s because that was the world I was in. I was in a trades union household, and then there's the more metaphysical stuff, and even all this love business that started, with all this kissy
yes
thing. And then of course you realize, oh no, there's another value here. This is changing again. So yeah, I'm well on board with 13. I really am. I want more, and I love Jodie. I think she's just brilliant. And I think it's difficult. It's difficult for people to change, but hey, there's a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of love goes into that show.
Absolutely, and
we respond.
Yes, yeah, and change is the essence of it all, which is like you say. No, admittedly, for myself personally, I'm not a great fan at the moment. That's no one in particular. It's just the way the program works. But you know what? Hey, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, because in a couple of years' time, it'll be someone else doing something else and it'll change again. And that's the very nature of it. And I think that's what, as fans, we should adapt to. Anyway, that's my soapbox moment. But brilliant question, though. Excellent. Thank you, Lee. Good to see you again. David Maskell, I think you have a question. We'll go over to Debbie for this one. But David, are you there? He isn't. David, are you there? I read something this week about Zoom increasingly being like a seance. David, are you with us? If not, I will ask the question. David, you are unmuted. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
speaking, but it's not.
I'll tell you what, I will ask the question, David. I'm sure you won't mind. Debbie, David says, do you have any particular lasting... Hello, are you there?
Hey!
Yay, here he
Hey!
is.
My question was, do you have any memories of working with Kylie or Mr. Clive Swift?
Oh, we just had the best time ever, as you can imagine. I mean, it was just, whenever you get a job, you go into it, if it's something completely unknown, you go into it with no expectations. You don't quite know what it's going to be like. You don't know if it's going to be a success. You don't know if anyone's going to watch it. So it's all complete unknown quantity. When you go into something like Doctor Who, especially when I was very lucky to go into it sort of at the height of its new power in that new sort of phase, it was a foregone conclusion that it was going to be huge and it was going to be the Christmas Day huge. So you kind of walk in there with this absolute knowledge that you're okay, you're going to be fine. You don't have to even worry about anything. So we started out at that point and it just sort of went up from there. And Kylie, we had a read through, as you always do before you start filming something. You have a big read through. We had a massive table with everybody there, so there's possibly 100 people, everyone from the producer down to the I don't mean down to them, but including the caterer, the whatever, they're all there. And as we went in, the producer went, "Now I don't know if you know, but Kylie's in there. Thank you. Now I don't know if you know, but Kylie's in there. Thank you." So we all had to kind of be on our best behaviour. We all knew anyway, but he was basically saying, "Don't freak out." And of course, we all went in there and went, "It's Kylie, it's Kylie." But she was absolutely delightful and even shorter than me, and I'm 5'1", so instantly I adored her. And Clive was fabulous. And as you can imagine, being a big West End musical star, he would be singing at any opportunity and serenading us all. So it was just like one party. But I think we filmed it for maybe a month to 6 weeks in total. And every day was just an absolute joy. Just, in between takes, sitting around, chatting, singing, laughing, being incredibly fortunate and knowing it and being grateful for it.
Marvellous. David, thanks ever so much for your question. Lovely to see you. We have Target World next, who has a question for both, but I think let's put it to Richard first. Doctor Who Target World, are you there?
As in having read the book since I was...
One moment, there's someone, I'm waiting, that's the name, that's their name. I love that you know the Target books I'm talking about. This is their username, Doctor Who Target World, are you there?
Hello.
Yay.
Hello there.
Hello, fire away.
A question for both. What was it like working with David Tennant?
Ooh, hang on, I've lost you. Hang on. Can you see me? Yes.
Yeah, I can see you.
Are you talking to me, I presume?
Well, there's a question for both of you,
sorry.
basically. What was it like working with... Sorry, I'll start again. What was it like working with David Tennant on this whole set, and how was he to be with? What's going on there? Sorry. Technical hits.
Hello, Debbie, are you there?
I'm here.
Marvellous. How did you find David Tennant to work with?
Absolutely delightful. He was such fun, loving every minute. It's such a joy to work with people who just love their job. When everyone's enjoying themselves, it's not really a job, is it? Let's face it. I've been on many things, soaps in particular, naming no names, but when you're on a long-running soap and you go in as a guest,
yes,
it's quite amusing that they all sort of grab hold of you and go, "What's it like on the outside world? Tell me." And I'm not even joking. They're all sort of, so kind of institutionalized and kind of desperate to get out, but also knowing that, they're onto a good thing. But something like Doctor Who, especially David Tennant, he was having the time of his life and was given sort of free run to ad-lib and to just enjoy himself. And there was no airs and graces with any of them. You'd think Kylie Minogue would be a bit above everything, but not at all. It was all just... I know it sounds so sort of lame to say it, but it was just fun. We just had fun, and he never kind of distanced himself. He never took himself off to his trailer to have deep and meaningful moments of, self-contemplation. We just had a lark, you know.
I don't think it sounds dull at all. I think it's rather brilliant that you kind of all just get on and muck in. And of course, Richard, you were with Peter Capaldi. How was he as someone to work alongside?
Phenomenal. Again, this is stories you've all heard before, but as we know, he is the biggest Doctor Who fan on the planet.
Oh yes.
And I had this tiny little sort of anecdote about having gone to school with the son of John Freelander, who was a model maker back in Classic Who, and also one of our supply teachers turned up as one of the minor characters in Peladon, which was fun because that's the episode that our show referenced. Peter was all over that. He was all over that information and was excited, and that was he was very generous of his time, given that he had, you know, in a 60-page script, he has 48 pages of dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, him, no one else, him. And he's got people coming into the studio. He's got guests coming in, kids being introduced to you, looking around. He seems to have 360-degree vision, and yet still had time to stop and completely geek out with me about that, which was brilliant. And he also did a really sweet thing right at the beginning. As I say, we were in these buckets, and he came over and said, "Listen, I don't know how much we're going to get to talk to each other. I'm certainly not going to see very much of you. It's really important you're here." And I thought that was the most tremendous thing anybody has ever said to me on a set. He was quite right, actually, because it didn't really see much of anyone. Yeah. But that generally radiates. It radiates in such a way that there are always filming difficulties, aren't there? You know, pressure of time, an incredibly busy studio. We changed first ADs for some reason because, I don't know, maybe we weren't making the days properly. The pressure was huge. And yet there's this radiating beacon of just gentle, intelligent positivity. And you just follow that. I can't imagine anybody misbehaving on a set that he was on, because it would be weird. It would be just so weird. So to say he led from the front is a massive understatement. Delightful. And then he did me a fab cartoon on the cover page of my script. He did that for everyone, because he's fab cartoonist. He's his college project won him an Oscar. I mean, the man's genius.
Yes, this is true.
You know, hello. He did that for us. I mean, I've never seen him since, and I don't know, but would love to work with him again. But that's something I took away and will hold forever.
Good man. Your eyes lit up slightly when I said Doctor Who target books. Is that something you're aware of? Debbie has no idea. Debbie's like, what the hell are they talking about? Listen in, Debbie, and learn.
Well, and this is pertinent, because I say this when I'm in America. Imagine growing up in the 70s and there's no VCR, there's no DVD, there's no streaming, there's no nothing. We have the episode we've seen and our memories of it. Yeah. And it lived. I mean, we were having this discussion on another forum. The Green Death, I can remember all of it, and I've only ever seen it once.
Yes.
I've only ever seen it once. And the only other resource you had, because we didn't have things like Doctor Who annuals in my house for all kinds of complicated reasons. But if anybody had got a target book at school, you'd queue up to read it. So you could have that business of reliving the story again. And as we know, the target books are versions of. They're not the scripts. They're not exactly what's there, but they're another little gateway into the world. So actually, I have a deep love for them. And in a strange gesture some time ago, I gave all my target books, some of which were from the original imprint, to a Doctor Who fan, because I was, moving house so many times and thought, right, now's the time. And I've missed that ever since.
Oh God, it would be rude of me to call you a fool, but you absolute bloody fool. Debbie, your face is still none the wiser. All of the old Doctor Who episodes, most of them, were novelized as short books for kids to read, so that we could remember them. I don't know if there are any, any of your. Anything for the TV series that you used to watch as a child, or was it you used to watch these programs, love them, and they were gone?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think my husband did have a whole thing. I don't know if they were Target, but they were Doctor Who books. And when we moved in together, we were getting rid of all sorts of stuff because we were, amalgamated. I know. And he offered to get rid of them. And we did look on eBay to see how much they were worth. And they weren't worth a lot then. And of course, probably now, they're worth billions. So I apologise profusely to my husband, who thankfully can't hear me.
Listen, let's have another question. The next question I have is from Paul, I believe. Paul, are you there? Jason's in control of all this out in space somewhere. Paul, are you with us?
I am with you. I am.
Hello. Please ask your question.
I'm loving the pair of you, and we miss having you at Phantom. We want you to come back as soon as possible, please. We covered it earlier with Kylie, but I just wanted to know if you've ever been on set and properly fangirled or fanboyed over someone that you've been working with, and to the point that you were almost unprofessional in the way that you've approached it. Apart from Andy.
Richard, yeah. let's start. No, apart from me, of course. Yeah. Richard, let's start with you. Anyone you've fangirled over?
All right, because I was in my early 30s. I was number 4 on the call sheet in a long-running American TV series. I had no excuse for this behaviour, but for 3 solid years, I couldn't quite know how to talk to Christopher Lee. And in the end, he had to say to me, I think you should come to my hotel room and we can discuss this. And the lovely man poured me some aquavit and sat me down and stopped me shaking. And I wonder if he did this to help me overcome my terror of. And he said to me, "Well, of course, I've died before." And when Count Dracula says that to you, you wonder what's. And he showed me his open heart surgery scar. And then discussed the nature of the operation and how it worked and how it did for his health and how he was so much fitter after he'd had it and all these kind of lovely things, and talked to me about how he busted his finger and goodness knows what. And then that was fine. Then we could just be all right. And maybe he did it so he wouldn't have this 6'7" quivering lump next to him. It's funny, it just happens. I ended up hanging out with John Voight for 5 weeks in Bucharest. Yeah. And again, you're sort of, I don't understand how I'm here. I can't. No, this must be somebody else. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And it sort of still happens now, really. I hope I never lose that.
Yeah.
Frank. I mean, I was in awe of Peter, but he was so benevolent. He was so nurturing. I hope it never goes. Really.
Wonderful. No, likewise. It's a marvelous chance to kind of look around, and I think it's an appreciation of what you're doing and what you've been able to achieve in life. So I think it's a positive thing. Debbie, how about you? Anyone you've particularly fangirled?
I fangirl over everybody, and I'm never professional. I am the worst at just getting very sort of shy, and either kind of just not, ignoring them completely, or just being terribly, just talking very loudly and doing that and just really embarrassing myself. But the worst ones were probably Patrick Stewart, who was delightful and lovely, but I just sort of kept saying stupid things like, "Oh, it's lovely weather today, isn't it?" And just, no, stop it. And who else did I say? Or Dawn French, I did a play with. And at the time, I looked like I did in Doctor Who, so I was 23 stone or something. And as a larger actress, she was always my idol. She was what made me believe I could be in the industry looking the way I did. So, yes, completely ridiculous with her for a long time. But soon got over it because she was lovely. And, when you're in a play together, I think, it's a bit more collaborative than if you're on a set together, I think. Would you agree, Richard? I think so.
Oh, completely. You have to be. And if you're not, it's going to make it really, really hard.
Yeah, So I soon got over that. Yeah, but she is lovely. And Rob Lowe was the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my life, but quite badly behaved and has got hairy ears.
Yeah.
So nothing stops fangirling like Harry is.
Wow. Okay. So you were up
I know. I
that
wanted to
close in
attack him with
person.
one of those. Well, I did, yes. And I mean, he was sweet, but he did unfortunately throw a few tantrums, which kind of. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to name names, but I mean, in between times it was lovely. But I just think bad behaviour is never acceptable. Who else have I worked? Oh, Joel Grey from Cabaret, who was the MC in the film Cabaret.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, wow. Amazing. Yeah, really lovely. But you kind of want to go up to him and say,
is there anyone you've not worked with that you think might be the one that would break you, that you would completely just lose it?
I'm sure there are many. Meryl Streep. I mean, my God, I don't know what I'd say to her, but I'm sure she would be the kind of, Peter Capaldi type and David Tennant type who would literally just make you forget all that in an instant. But she, as an actress, she's my kind of acting hero. The one, I don't know if anyone watches The Last Kingdom on Netflix that I played a small regular role in.
Yeah.
The guy who's the lead in that, Alexander Draymond, he is second to Rob Lowe, the most beautiful man in the world, but very, he's lovely, but he's always in character. And he's always sort of being very intense. And yes, I'm I'm an Anglo-Saxon warrior. And then he's sort of offset, he's absolutely completely different to that. But he's lovely. But he'll sort of stare at you until you kind of lose all control.
Richard, how about you? Is there anyone you've not worked with that you think might tip it over for you into being completely unprofessional?
Well, like I say, I'm so susceptible. There's a very long list. And I do find myself sort of open-mouthed quite often, really. Because, I admire everybody's career and lives because they're not mine. They've done so much more in so many more interesting ways. And it is one of those odd things. I mean, the funny thing is, you can be in a play with somebody and function properly as a family and work well. And then the minute you step out of the building, although you're in a bar or you're in a restaurant, and you see how other people, and you think, oh my God, no, they're a really famous person.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're also that person I know through working with them.
Yes.
They're both of these people. And at a con a while back, I found myself next to Peter Davidson, and we were discussing the Yorkshire Dales because I used to live in where they filmed All Creatures Great.
Yes.
And he's a classic example of somebody who feels so natural, so normal, so interesting, and yet he is him. It's him. Look at him. I don't think I'll ever lose that, really. I'm just trying to think of when we did Robin Hood for the Americans, we had a whole string of people who did this. I say not just Christopher Lee, but we had David Soul, we had Kate O'Mara, and lots of great faces from English telly, and also because it was the first big thing I'd done with international people. I spent most of my life like that. It's and then of course the lovely thing is, Barry Pepper. You suddenly discover her. We sat for 2 weeks in the Ukraine talking about bees because he has a farm, and yet then the minute I'm not sat next to him, I'm in awe again. Yeah.
Lovely. I like that. One should never. It should never be mundane, I think. That's a wonderful thing to be able to say. Listen, we've already come to the end of an hour, believe it or not. This is absolutely crazy. I've really, really enjoyed chatting. Also, really enjoyed having the questions from everyone. But we are almost out of time. I would like to remind people that although obviously this is free and will remain free, if anyone's able to, no matter how small, a donation to the charity, which is the Theatre Support Fund, would be hugely helpful at the moment. So that's what we thought. We'll pop some links online. Both we'll pop something on our Twitter feed so that people can pop a little donation in there if you are able to at what is a pretty difficult time.